Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. You can follow me there. And today we've got some breaking news with the 49ers jerseys. And we'll go over why it might just give the Niners a competitive advantage this year. And stick around until later in the show when I go through my top 10 NFL teams in my power rankings. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below. Leave a like. Leave a comment, and let's get into it. So to start off the show, I want to quickly talk about the wide receiver movement that's been happening in the NFL lately, especially on Tuesday. The 49ers signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the active roster and released Russell Gage with the intention to sign him to the practice squad. Doing a little flip-flop there. According to Adam Schefter, Gage is still expected to be elevated from the practice squad and play week 1 against the Seahawks. Now, of course, there is a chance that another team swoops in and gives Gage a deal that he can't refuse, but it seems like he's got a pretty good understanding of the procedural moves that this team has to make to get through the offseason. And it seems like Gage is really a part of the 49ers' plans for the early part of this season. So I'd assume that he's back with the practice squad either today or some point this week leading up to week 1. Separately from all this, Kendrick Bourne apparently got an official offer from the 49ers during his visit. And with Jawan Jennings back, I'd assume that this was just a deal to join the practice squad. He obviously did not take the deal yet, but he also didn't sign with the Commanders when he visited them on Tuesday. We'll see what he decides to do in the coming days, I'm sure, because Bourne wants to play, and he should. He's still a good player, and he can still provide value to an NFL team. Now, the Niners weren't the only team making wide receiver moves on Tuesday. The Bills reunited with Gabe Davis, signing him to their practice squad. And Davis was a guy who was really outspoken this year about how much he'd like to play in San Francisco. I believe he made multiple visits with the team, but clearly they just weren't able to reach an agreement. But as they say, when one door closes, another opens. The Steelers released wide receiver Robert Woods from their practice squad at Woods' request. According to Ian Rappaport, Woods will only sign with the team who put him on their 53-man roster because he wants to play. And I get it. If the injuries to Jordan Watkins and Brandon Ayuk start to linger, or if there's any complications with those injuries, I could certainly see the Niners making room for Robert Woods. Do you think the 49ers should sign another wide receiver? If so, who? Do you want Kendrick Bourne or Robert Woods? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, earlier this week, the Niners released their official jersey schedule for this year, so we know exactly what uniforms they'll be wearing for each game. Usually this is only relevant for the throwbacks and other alternates like this year's rivalry jersey, and the rest, they just wear reds at home and whites on the road. But this year, there's a sneaky gem in this schedule that the Niners are using to get a competitive advantage over their opponents. You may have realized that it feels like the Niners always start the season on the road. And some years, like this year, their first 2 weeks are away games, and their home opener isn't until week 3. That's by design. The Niners request every year to have early season games on the road due to the intense heat and sun in the early fall in the Bay Area. And now the team is taking another step to try and protect the team from the heat. The Niners are wearing their white primary jerseys, usually saved for away games, in week 4, which is at home against the Jaguars. Now, usually that game they'd be wearing their red primaries, but instead they're wearing the white ones. And in week 3, their first home game of the season against the Cardinals, they're wearing their all-white 1994 throwbacks as opposed to those red primaries. The first time that the Niners wear red this year won't be until mid-October when the Niners play the Falcons on Sunday Night Football at home. And in that game, they'll be wearing the red 1994 throwbacks. So we won't see the red primary jerseys until week 10. Not only are the first couple games played on the road, but even the home games are featuring the 49ers in white jerseys to help reflect the sunlight away and keep the 49ers players as cool as possible on the field. By making the opponents wear their colored jerseys in the heat, that should give the 49ers a little bit of an edge. How much of an edge? Probably not much, but any little margin counts. The NFL is a game of inches, as they say. So, as much as I love the red home jerseys, and I am shocked that they're only going to wear those jerseys 3 times this year, I'm down for this if it means that the Niners have a better chance to win those early season home games. So, what do you think about this sneaky jersey move? Let me know down below in the comments. Now, folks, week 1 is getting closer and closer. The season kicks off tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, Eagles and Cowboys. So before the season begins, I just wanted to put my thoughts out there and talk about my top 10 teams in the NFL. And this is all subject to change, of course, but this is the top class of teams in the league right now, at least according to me. And it all starts with number 10, your San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, I do have the Niners sneaking into the top 10 above teams like the Texans and the Chargers and the Vikings, despite going 6-11 last year. I think the Niners are just set up so well for a bounce back year. And for the first time in a while, they are the hunters as opposed to the hunted. Right? I think with a long offseason and 2 big draft classes of young contributors, this team is hungry, they are focused, they are healthy, and they are ready to make some noise once again this year. At number 9, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I think their defense is maybe the best in the entire NFL. They are monsters over there in the Mile High City. Bringing in Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga should only improve that unit, and they were already one of the best in the league last year, right? And I'm a believer in their offense, too. I like Bo Nix quite a bit. I think he's got the ability to make every throw on the field. Sean Payton has been a master of offensive play calling for a decade. I like J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey in the run game. Their offensive line is really good. I think their weapons are sneaky good too. Cortland Sutton, absolutely rock solid guy. Evan Ingram is a fun weapon to add. I think he could have a mini breakout with Sean Payton calling the plays. He's just such a shifty matchup nightmare at tight end. And then they've got the speed demon Marvin Mims. They've got the young breakout candidate Troy Franklin. And they drafted one of my favorite rookie receivers, Pat Bryant from Illinois. The weapons group, it's deep, it's talented, and it's ascending. I think if Denver can be a top 12 offense this year, they're going to win a lot of games with how good that defense is as well. Number 8 for me is the Washington Commanders, fresh off an NFC Championship game in the very first year of Jaden Daniels' career. They locked up Terry McLaurin to a long-term extension, finally, after a long holdout. They brought in some big additions to the offense with first-round tackle Josh Connerly, new left tackle Laramie Tunsil, and of course, Deebo Samuel. Their defense was really the weakness of the team last year, and I think that'll be the case once again this year. But Dan Quinn is an awesome play caller, and bringing in some more talent could really let him flex his play calling muscles. Javon Kinlaw, Von Miller, Trey Amos, all these guys are new players who I think are going to be real contributors this year for Washington's defense. Playing in the NFC East with Philly is going to be tough for Washington, just like it would be for any team. But I think that they're a really, really good football team. And if Jaden Daniels can avoid a sophomore slump, this team is going to be dominant once again this year. My big question is the run game. No more Brian Robinson Jr. He's with the Niners now. So aging Austin Eckler and rookie Bill Krosky-Merritt are going to have a lot of responsibility in this offense. Now let's get to number 7, which is the LA Rams. The Rams have the pedigree, and I think they got better this offseason. Devontae Adams to boost the passing game and Poona Ford to boost the run defense are 2 phenomenal additions. Those were 2 of my favorite targets for the Niners this offseason, and the Rams got them both. Plus, you've got another year of development for guys like Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and Cam Kinchins. The Rams are certainly depending on some older players like Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Rob Havenstein, but they're not an old team. They've got a lot of youth, a lot of ascending talent, and I've been on the record a bunch this summer talking about how much I respect and even fear this Rams team. I think they'll be in the playoffs again this year, barring a Stafford injury. Now at number 6, I have the Detroit Lions. Detroit fell apart down the stretch last year with all their injuries defensively, but with Aiden Hutchinson back healthy and new additions like DJ Reed and Tyleik Williams, I'm really high on the Lions. The talent is phenomenal all over this roster. The only reason that they're not top 5 for me is these coaching changes. Losing both your offensive play caller in Ben Johnson and your defensive play caller in Aaron Glenn, that's a lot of turnover in a single year. I think the Lions are going to be a playoff team again this year, but I'm not sure that I see the Super Bowl upside that they had back in 2023. They will certainly have to stay healthy, and their new coordinators are going to have to deliver right away. If they can do that, then you might see the Lions playing deep into January once again. Now, speaking of the NFC North, I've got my pick for the winners of that division, the Green Bay Packers, coming in at number 5. Green Bay would have probably been like a fringe top 10 team for me this year had they not pulled off the absolutely unbelievable Micah Parsons trade 1 week before the season started. With Micah, their defense has a much higher ceiling than it did last year or in many years past. They finally have a guy who can straight up take over games on defense. And while I don't really like that he picked the number 1, I think that's kind of weird on a defensive lineman, I do think he's going to be a game wrecker for the Packers, like he's been his entire career. Now, I'm not ready to put this team in the upper echelon of contenders just yet. We got to see it on the field first. And the offense still has their question marks, notably wide receiver. Matthew Golden was an awesome prospect coming out of Texas, and he picked a fantastic number with 0, way better than the number 22 that he was sporting in the preseason. My goodness. But will Golden be good enough in his rookie year to finally become that alpha number 1 wide receiver that the Packers have been looking for since Davante Adams was traded? It's a good question. The Packers have a lot of fun wide receivers, but how many good wide receivers do they have? And how many great wide receivers? I think the answers to those questions is going to determine how far this team goes, in my opinion. Now, number 4, we've got the Buffalo Bills with their MVP quarterback, Josh Allen. The Bills are pretty much the same every year, it feels like. Fantastic regular season, but cannot win more than 2 playoff games. They've got a similar issue to the Packers at wide receiver, where they just don't have anybody great yet, but they've got a lot of guys who are good. I like Keon Coleman. He's their young guy, but he's got work to do if he wants to be a real number 1. Now, I do trust Josh Allen to take over and really carry the team and carry the offense. We've seen him do it time and time again. I mean, Niners fans may remember when Josh Allen threw a touchdown to himself in the snow. That was an insane play. But I'm just not sure that that's going to be enough. When it comes to the playoffs, I don't see this version of the Bills beating Kansas City or even Baltimore. Although, watch out for week 1, Baltimore and Buffalo playing in week 1. That should be a great game. The Bills added some players that I liked this offseason, like rookies TJ Sanders and Deone Walker on the defensive line, but this team is run by its veterans. Don't get it twisted. They are a win-now squad, but some key contributors are going to have to step up in order for this team to finally get over the hump and make it to the Super Bowl this year, much less win it. Into the top 3 now, and at 3, I've got the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and he's playing like it. The run game with him and Derrick Henry is the stuff of nightmares for defenses. And speaking of, the Ravens defense is always nasty. Their back 7 is absolutely absurd. You've got a top 2 linebacker in the NFL with Roquan Smith and what might be the very best secondary in the league. Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander at cornerback with Kyle Hamilton and rookie first-round pick Malachi Starks at safety. That is nasty. It's going to be so hard to throw on the Ravens this year. The Ravens built their team the right way. They run the ball and they play great defense, and that's the easiest way to win football games. The issues come when they abandon that plan like they did in the AFC Championship game last year. The big question with the Ravens is the same as the Bills, okay? Will they get over the hump this year? Will they finally be able to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl? I think the Ravens are a lock to at least be playing in January, so we'll have to see if they can make it to February. Now, at number 2, I've got the boogeyman of the NFL, the inevitable, undefeatable, despicable Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. They just do not lose in the playoffs very often. Whether you want to call it ref ball or insane Mahomes clutch plays or Taylor Swift magic, doesn't matter to me. The simple truth is that the Chiefs are inevitable. And I don't care that Rashee Rice is suspended or that Travis Kelce is basically a full-time podcaster or that their run game was bad last year. The Chiefs have weaknesses, absolutely, but no weakness they have is going to be enough for me to pick against them this year. This team will make it to the Super Bowl, and they will win it. I know it. I know it for sure. It's almost not really worth talking about because I am that convinced that nothing the rest of the league does will matter this year. This is definitely a nihilistic outlook, but my point is that there's no other team in football that I have more confidence in than Kansas City. And they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. So I expect that they are hungry and ready to show that they are not the team that we saw in the last game of last season. And now finally, my number one team in the power rankings is the team who just demolished the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They've given me no reason to put them anywhere else but first this offseason. The Eagles just had their best case scenario last year, and now they're trying to replicate that success, which I think is going to be difficult because having that level of success always is, right? But they were dominant last year, and they brought back nearly their entire team. They do exactly what the Ravens do. They run the ball and they play defense, but they do it even better. They've created an unstoppable play with the tush push. They have an unreal defense, somehow full of starters on their rookie contracts. They have a factory of offensive line development in the works. It feels like they draft 2 or 3 offensive linemen every single year, and then you blink and it's 3 years later and those guys end up starting. You remember Tyler Steen? Tyler Steen is going to start for this team next year. Anyways, the only thing that I can think of that will stop this freight train of a team is either injuries or someone else building an even stronger train. And we'll see, because that's pretty hard to do. So those are my top 10 teams in the NFL. Did I forget about anyone? Should the 49ers be higher or lower? Let me know down below. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas at Grustas Brady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.